Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here as we're making our talk about Rey Mysterio today, who will be returning to the WWE shortly. News broke today. This was honestly probably one of the worst kept secrets over the last 6 months to a year that Rey Mysterio would be coming back to WWE. It was only a matter of time. Of course, WWE and Rey Mysterio had a horrible split back in 2015, where basically Rey Mysterio wanted to leave the WWE, but he was too valuable to WWE to the point where they kept trying to find ways to extend his contract. They ended up just stopped using him on television, which then sort of led to him, as well as Conan and Court Bauer and other wrestlers and wrestling personalities, tweeting out on Twitter on behalf of Rey Mysterio, free Rey, for him finally to get out of his deal. They released him, they let him go. We're right out of the gate. He made a huge splash by making the announcement that he was going to be wrestling for AAA. Which right out of the gate looked like it was going to be a huge thing for wrestling in Mexico. By getting Rey Mysterio at the same time the original Sin Cara was making his return, and then Alberto Del Rio, who had been given his release from WWE, were all down there. I believe all at one time. They competed in a trios tournament together as a part of Team Mexico, or maybe Team AAA is what it was called. I think they might have called it the Dream Team. And it looked like, Mexican wrestling was going to get put right back on the map. But that really didn't last long. He did end up signing with Lucha Underground, which looked like it was going to be huge. They're riding off the success of Season 1. Rey made his debut early on in Season 2. But Lucha Underground just sort of lost its luster. I think to me, honestly, was that break. A lot of people think that wrestling would work better as like a normal television show that would sort of work as like a 24 episodes here or there along the way, because Monday Night Raw is each and every Monday. Every once in a while, some people want to watch Monday Night Football, or they want to watch basketball, and they don't want to feel like they've fallen behind because they've missed an episode of Raw here or there along the way. I'm not going to tell you that honestly it's one of the main reasons that I've fallen out of love of wrestling, but because of the fact that, to me, WWE asks for so much time. We talk about this all the time. For a wrestling fan to watch Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, NXT, 205 Live, it overwhelms me to the point where it's like, well, if I can't watch a little bit, I'm not really going to know what's going on, and just forget it. Just move on to the next thing. So Lucha Underground, I think, in between Season 1 and Season 2, it lost its popularity a little bit. Definitely between Season 2 and Season 3, it lost even more. And whenever it's on TV, I don't even know it's on. I can't even remember the last time I saw a review or heard a review on one of the major wrestling websites about what was going on in Lucha Underground. Or, a lot of the guys that were there are wrestling for Impact right now, or sometimes they pop up in MLW. So I really don't even know who's under contract there anymore, because, Ricochet, who was one of the main stars, is now in NXT. He found a way out of his deal, so it's just the whole system changed, and Rey ended up bouncing out this year. He wrestled at the Royal Rumble, which people thought was going to be him jumping right back into WWE. Then he came back for the world's greatest Royal Rumble and took that Saudi Arabia money. In between that, he wrestled for New Japan, where he was here on the United States shows. He hasn't been a hard guy to find. Just basically any big show. He was at All In recently. He's been there. Rey Mysterio, it's going to be kind of weird to see how much they really use him. You can see that, it was such a big deal that WWE brought back the Hardys, I believe, 2 years ago. And here is Matt Hardy basically making his retirement just recently. The amount of wear and tear that the Hardys put on their bodies, it's not going to be a surprise if Jeff Hardy doesn't really last that much longer as well, working this full-time schedule for WWE, wrestling, I guess for him, be wrestling SmackDown, wrestling house shows, wrestling pay-per-views, just constantly being on the move, where, a guy like Rey Mysterio, or even the Hardys when they were in Impact Wrestling, or, just wrestling independence, is is you book yourself to where you're only working maybe one show a week, sometimes 2 shows. Just matters, how close these shows are, so you're not killing yourself with travel. And you get to be home more. Home is where you really charge your batteries up. It's not just going back to a hotel room and laying there just counting the stars until you fall asleep. Rey, I think, is going to be a big deal for WWE. It will sort of bring him back into the family, I guess you can say, where they can start selling t-shirts, they can start selling masks. He was always one of the biggest characters that they have, and they were never able to really replace him after he left, even though they tried with the fake Sin Cara, they tried with Hunico, no, Kalisto. That's what I meant to say. I apologize. But they would give these guys pushes to where they would be. I can remember Kalisto winning the United States Championship. He had feuds against Ryback, he had feuds against Alberto Del Rio, and even though he had moves in the ring and the matches were all right, it was just like people never really got behind him and supported him the way that people, support Rey Mysterio. Whether if that's just going back and having that legacy of wrestling for ECW or WCW during the Monday Night Wars, just going all the way back to a lot of kids' childhoods and just remembering what it was. From traveling to WrestleMania, from seeing, him, do autograph signings at WrestleCon, he definitely is a real big fan favorite. I think it's going to be good to have him there, but, like we discussed with the Hardys, the WWE, they are in a place where they have as much money, as any other wrestling company does in the world, and they're able to really sign anyone that they want to bring in. The problem is that once they sign them, what are they really going to do with him? In his last year, you can really tell guys like Randy Orton, whose status in WWE, he's still a star, but he's slipping and he's falling. Whether it's because he's been around too long, whether they're trying to give him a lighter schedule. We know right now Randy Orton is not going to be main eventing WrestleMania. Right now he's sort of a mid-card guy who barely made the WrestleMania card this year because they put him in the United States Championship match, a match that we never thought we would ever see a guy like Rey Mysterio in. So, where does Rey Mysterio fit? I can remember a time in WWE, whether it was like 2012 or 13, Rey was actually involved in a tag team trying to get Sin Cara over. And they were teaming on Monday Night Raw as well as on pay-per-views, not really getting to highlight how big of a star Rey Mysterio is. So I think it's good that, WWE finally has this, brand new toy that they've been looking for a while, even though they had it in the past. It was gone, and now they've wanted it. We've been talking about Rey Mysterio coming back to WWE for a long time. Now they finally have him. Now it's just sort of a deal of what are they going to do with him now that they have him. I think that Rey's been a guy that they've tried on Raw, and, I don't think he was ever the star on Raw as he was on SmackDown. He became WWE champion, but, he never really was that main guy like he was on SmackDown. Even though the years have passed, I'm hoping that he goes to SmackDown, where they were able to use guys like that, even though probably the writing staff and the writing creative team and all that jazz is probably completely overhauled, and it's probably new people. Being there is probably going to be less pressure on him, and where he can just go out and, I guess, help raise the stars tomorrow. We'll have to see what comes from this, but I'm guessing that more than likely we're going to see a big Rey Mysterio return, debut, whatever you want to call it, and then we'll have to see where it goes from there. But my guess is that over time, we'll see Rey Mysterio slowly fizzle out.